Hey Mark, it's Trace. Sorry about the delay in this. I was waiting for a conference room to open up, so I got you now. So everything's looking good. We're holding you right here at -3 TSB. So that'll probably be increasing a little bit more to maybe 4, -4, -5 next week. And our goal is to basically to get you to -8 and holding once you're into the full mode of the season. But the week looks good. So here's your stuff. You can see that the FTP was a pretty good 75 training stress points. That was good. And then this 67 was your road bike on the with a 20-minute FTP or whatever. So that looks really good. And then Saturday was very good too, 55, and you had a nice recovery here. That would be on Friday too. So, and then again here, so you can see that we're basically adding in a little bit more tempo after, the day after, and that shows up here too. So, all good. So, if you look at this, an hour and 16 is going to be what, 76 minutes, and you had so basically one training stress point per minute. So you always kind of know if you're doing basically one training stress point per minute of your workout, you've had a pretty darn good ride. So that looks really good. If we take a look at your week, everything looks pretty great here. You can see you started out the week about -7, and that would have been, let's see, I'll make sure I'm on your week here. Yeah, right at the end of the month there, and then you came up nicely and held during the week, even with the good FTP sets here, and then of course your acute training load went up there over the weekend. So if we back that out over the last 30 days, you can see here that we're starting to this trend line number here is showing kind of moving up. So 294 for the week. So that's actually off a little bit. I was hoping to be about 340, something like that. I think that was on our plan, but that's pretty negligible. That's 30 minutes of riding or something like that. So really, we can. I think we're in a good place to kind of keep moving ahead, and you can see here that your 20-minute power here is doing great. That's probably the best one you've had there, over the last 5 weeks or so. So everything's good there, and even your 60-minute normalized power is doing pretty darn good. So it's all going up. So it's great. Let's see. If I get here. Let's go over here and take a look at your power over the last 30 days. So here we are, mostly endurance and tempo here. Then of course you got the good work here. The 300 watt stuff that you're always going to be having in there. And you can see if we go back to just your week alone, you'll see kind of the same story. So that's all trending the correct way. Time and zones here, we're getting the anaerobic and VO2 max, and starting to see that threshold area come up too, and that's due to the FTP. So that's definitely a good thing there. And then tempo and endurance. That's what we basically backfill all that stuff with. So on a day-by-day basis here, training stress and intensity factor, you can see everything's looking good. If I go back last 30 days. Everything's good there. Although you've had some really high training stress score days there. This is probably more because there was more indoor riding this weekend too. And I think if we get over there, we can see that. So you had some good outdoor rides there, and then not quite as much. You can see here that went down, and that's just a factor of that. It's March, so there'll be good days and there's going to be really crummy days. Like for us yesterday, it was clear and dry, but it was the wind was blowing 45 miles an hour and it was 35 degrees, so nobody wants to be out there in that. So anyhow, this looks good, and let's get into your rides for the week. So let's go down here and we'll start with Monday. You can see here I did a couple quick checks. I just call it check 1 and check 2 just to check your efficiency factor. And if we go to the interval report, we'll see that. So you can see your efficiency factor 1.48 on check 1, 1.47. So you really and your intensity factor on the second portion there was even higher. So everything's holding good there. You're not losing. This is a good sign. You know, I always look for these to make sure that after a hard weekend or whatever, the good recovery, that it's actually, you know, there, and that you are getting your body's not just putting itself into survival mode and heart rate going way up or power going down, any of those kind of things. So we're good there. Here's your FTP Wednesday. So I think these laps here, I had to manually put in this one here. Like if I click on your lap 3, it looks like it picked up a little bit more of that recovery. So I didn't want that. So I wanted just the main set, and you can see here that I'm really close with 443. But look at these splits, dude. These are awesome. 314, killer. 318, 319, 324, and 332. So you can't ask for better than that. It's just incredible. And your intensity, your efficiency factor, really good. And I think what I did, I created, this is kind of cool because I created a quick little graph for you to kind of take a look at this. And I just took your lap and then pumped in your efficiency factor here. Now, the interesting thing is that you'll always start out with a super high. Let me zoom up this real quick. So you'll always start, generally when you're riding, doing intervals, you always start with a real high one, efficiency factor. But you have to realize that these are, I mean, this makes it look a little bit more radical than it is. I mean, if you're talking 2.1, 2.0, 2.0, 2.08, 2.13, so this is very subtle. So it's kind of like we're zooming way up on this. But generally what will happen is your body will, especially when people are not fit, they'll have a really high efficiency factor on the first one, and then it'll come down. It'll probably be down, you know, underneath way under 2 down here, and then it'll just sink from there. But the interesting things that happen when people start getting fit, and it's kind of like their body figures out after a few sets what exactly is being asked of it, and then it regains efficiency. It's sort of like when you're, you know, you're really fit, but you go to climb some stairs, so your heart rate's real low, and you're climbing, you know, the first flight of stairs feel great, and then after about 3, your body's like, hey man, what are you doing to me? And your heart rate goes way up. But then after another flight or 2, maybe 3 or 4 flights, your body figures out, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing now. This is what you want me to do. And then, you know, you start cranking back up again. And that's that same sort of thing that's happening here. You can see each, your body kind of figured out here. It was still well over 2, so anything over 2 is awesome. But so then at the midway point, then it's like, okay, I see what you want me to do, and even that time there, you're adding watts. So that was really cool. I thought that was fun to look at. And you can see we're not seeing any power spikes or anything like that. And I'm good with these kind of builds. That's the way I'd have it. I would much rather, if I noticed your power was, even if your average was, say, for example, 324 on this lap here, if your power started going down, maybe you started out at 350 and ended up at 315 with a 324 average, it would still be good, but it's always better for me to see heart rate and power. You can see them climbing, you know, kind of together. If I zoom it, it's not as obvious if I zoom it. So maybe I'll just zoom everything back. But here, you know, you can see that your heart rate in red and your power in yellow, they're climbing together. So dude, it's just totally what we want. It's awesome. I know that this is probably a restroom break, but let's try to watch these and try to make sure that 55. that you're holding your recovery exactly what it should be in between the sets. So that's one thing we want to watch, and that's going to get you even faster. So okay, let's go to Thursday. If we go back over here and take a look, here we go. I marked these set 1, 2, and 3. Again, I was having a little problem with your laps. I don't know why yours come in a little bit stranger, but that's okay. Um, so I marked them, and you can see here 2.02, which is great. This is a tempo set now, mind you. You know, this is the day after, so your legs are going to be a little bit fatigued. But even then, if I take 1.91 and I divide that by 1.88, I'm going to get like a 4% power drop, something like that. And so this is great. It's really good. And you can see here your heart rate's recovering pretty much at the same place here on each set. Only slightly up after the second set. You were about 115, but here on this recovery you had dropped down to 109. So all good, man. All looking good. So we're getting you going. And then this is more just endurance here on Friday. All good. Notice here, funny, your power holds, and then your heart rate is like the same thing. Your body figures out what it's doing, and then it goes underneath what it was basically during the warm up. So your heart rate is actually lower here with the same power as it was this point here, 121, and then your body got bored and dropped down to 119. So that's really cool. Saturday, there's your 10-minute peak power. So it looks like you kind of broke it up, and I think everything in here looks great. This was let's see if I can zoom that thing here. Okay, so you know, some good blocks here. These are kind of what you want, and some good recovery. So 120, and then you're hitting you know, maybe 130. That peak 10-minute power there, you had an average heart rate of 133. So really good, and it's a good way. It was a great segue into the Sunday ride. So here's your Sunday with you. This is your peak here, your 20-minute peak power, and you can see that. And you know, this is outdoors too. And if we look at the map, you can see where that happened. So I'm sure you know this road. Of course, I don't, but you even went around a corner there, and then this section here, you can see as I track my mouse over it, it's that was where you were really. Looks like, you know, you're able to concentrate a lot better. Than, you know, going around a corner, your power is going to drop and all that. So it's awesome. It looks like a really good spot. And if I backfill that elevation there, just so you can see a little bit more what that elevation is doing to you. So you can see, you know, like you say, that's your gradual climb as you're working up there. So again, that's just what we want. That's totally what we want. And then you're kind of poking around in this area here too. So that looks like kind of farmland or something out there. So that should be hopefully nice. It's always good when you can find a place like that to ride where you don't have to watch out for cars as much, or you know, people jumping in front of you or left turning in front of you or any of that kind of stuff. So and then again, here's Sunday. Let me just turn that elevation thing off because that makes it hard to read sometimes. So here we do. We just got another check again. This is after your 20-minute power. I forgot, did I say what your average power was on that? So 270, that's what you wanted. And I think, like you say, I don't know if I don't think I get a temperature. Oh wait, I do. So if 50 degrees while you were out there. So another interesting thing you're going to notice is as the temperature gets better outside, you're going to find that that you were saying you were having a little bit of trouble holding the or getting that 270. As the temperature goes up and your body doesn't have to pool blood as much as it does when it's a little bit cool. 50 degrees, and what are we holding? 25, you know, miles per hour. You're getting a lot of wind on you, so your body tends to just pool blood a lot, and that happens to me a lot too. Like I definitely don't have my power is usually down just by default on days when it's probably underneath 60 degrees. So So that's good. And then here we did two more checks here, check 1 and check 2. If I grab those intervals, so we had 202 watts on the first one, 192, 166, and 155. So I can tell you were a little bit more tired at the end, after a full week of training, and that's exactly, I mean, in some ways that's good, because if you weren't showing any signs of fatigue, I would feel like we weren't training you hard enough. So I do want to. I am kind of glad that I see that your body is saying, okay, it's ready for the day off. So that's good. And if I go here, let me get here to your calendar. All right, so let's take a look at your week. It's going to be a lot the same. I'm adding in. I'm going to try to get in an extra 30, 40 points or whatever. But anyway, so we'll do 70 minutes of spinning after weights, max heart rate, and we're going to go by heart rate on this and keep it between 125 and 130. So that's what we want there. And I think that's, yeah, you've already done that. Sorry. FTP1. Okay, so on this one here, I want you to just cut down the recovery to 4 minutes versus 5. Just to add a little bit of bite to that, and don't worry about those 320, 330. If you can focus on 315, 318, 310, that would be perfect. And then here you can see the versus last Thursday we're adding another 10 minutes, and then I spelled that wrong. Let me fix that for you. If I could type, it would be a good thing. 20-minute warm-up. Okay. So add in 3 sets of tempo at 240. So same kind of thing, then drop into endurance. So this is very similar to that, but we're just adding more time. And then here I said 90 minutes of endurance, and then go ahead and add some 1 to 2 minute bursts up to 300 watts or higher. So I'm actually specifying, go up to 300, but keep your max power under, not UR, or whatever I spelled there. Keep it under 350 there. So then here we go, another 10 minutes here. Go by heart rate on Saturday. Make it all endurance, 135 to 140. Yeah, I did a ride today and I kept it at 140 and I was working. So, that's endurance is definitely doesn't mean you're sloughing around. And then if you could, try to do a repeat of that. And that's all weather based or whatever. And if you got to do it on the trainer, do it. And then we'll just say, I'm just going to copy that here. And then we're going to do the same thing this Monday here. And you should be good to go. So yeah, another great week, and we're just going to keep adding training stress to your week. Try to get it a little bit more. You can see here that we have spring racing season started here. In April 10th, the week of April 10th. And yeah, we're just checking these things off. And again, our goal is to be about 350, 360, somewhere around there. So I think we can do that no problem. I know you did say that you had something cut one of your rides short or something one day. And you know what? That stuff happens. It just happens. Just don't even worry about it. So, okay, brother. Love you. And I will be shooting this stuff over to you soon. Thanks, man. Bye.